Alright, so in this video, this is an activity that I want you guys to do in addition to the other activities. So this one is going to be how to rotate using motion tweens. First, we're going to create a symbol, and this symbol is going to be a ninja star, or a throwing star, or a shuriken, as some people call it. So first things first, I'm going to go to the polygon star tool, and in my properties panel, if I scroll down to tool options, you can see down here that I can change it from polygon to star. And normally by default it'll say number of sides 5, but I'm going to change that to 4. And then I'll get this when I create my star. Now if yours is doing like this, just hold down the shift key and you can make it line up perfectly. Alright, so now I'm just going to change the color, and to make it kind of realistic, I'll just make it gray. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a few tools along the way as we're doing this. Let's change the scale of this, and I'm just going to bring this over here. Now I'm going to get my oval tool, and I'm going to create an oval around that size, and just so we can see it, I'm going to change the color. I'll change it to something more visible than that. Alright, so first things first, let's align this star to the middle of my artboard. So I'm going to go to my align panel. If you don't see the align panel, just go to window, and align should be in, there we go, right there. So I'll just click on that, and align pops up, and I can center this horizontally and vertically. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my circle, center it horizontally and vertically. Notice what happened. See that? That beat me to the punch. Let's move this first. I'm going to center it vertically first and then horizontally. Alright, so now notice that if I select this, this deletes. Now, if I were to, let's say if I wanted to make that just a little bit smaller, I can just grab my free transform tool, and I'm going to shrink it down by holding the shift key. Zoom out a little bit and align it again. Make sure it's selected. Center it, center. Now, because these two shapes are touching, what's going to happen is when I select one of them to delete it, it deletes the center of the other shape. Yep. And that was the whole point of creating the circle. So now, inside of this throwing star, this centerpiece is transparent, as you can see. Alright, so we're going to keep it in the center, and now we're going to convert it into a symbol. See if you can remember how to do that while I show you in 3, 2, 1. You select it, you press F8, or you can go to Modify, Convert to Symbol. Now, we're going to make this a movie clip for now, and we're going to change this to we're going to change the name to this to Star. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and animate it. So with rotating, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my 24th frame, and I'm going to add a keyframe, which I can just insert keyframe here, right click again and insert keyframe, or I can just press F6 on my keyboard. Now, typically, people, who are like me and say, well, I've learned what we learned before. If I wanted to move this, and all I would have to do is just move it from here to here to create a motion tween, then logically speaking, I should be able to just rotate this, and when I create a motion tween, it'll rotate, right? So let's see. And for the most part, I'm right. But what if I wanted to rotate a lot? So if I wanted to rotate a bunch, I just start spinning it around. Oops. Let's go to the right frame. I just start spinning it around. And then when I get here, I just create classic tween, and it should spin around a whole bunch of times. But no, it did not. It barely moved. Why? Well, because when you're dealing with motion tweens, it's trying to fill in the gap. So it's saying, I want to get from point A to point B in the quickest time. So it's kind of like a GPS that way. So what you want to do is, one, let's clear this keyframe. Let's right click, and we're going to clear keyframe, and we want to start over by inserting the keyframe here now. So now we have a keyframe where there's no movement. Now when we create our tween, so let's right click, there we go, create classic tween. I'm just going to notice my properties panel. You want your properties panel up right now. Once I click on the motion tween, I get these same options that we had in the first video about motion tweens. But this time, instead of looking up here, I want you to look where it says rotate. Right now it's on auto, but we can change what direction it rotates in and how many times it rotates. So before we move on, I'm going to make a change to the symbol so that you can see that it's actually rotating one time. It looks like it might not be one time, but I'm going to prove to you it's one time by editing the symbol. So you can edit a symbol after you create it and animate it. So if I finish my animation for the symbol, I can still go back to my star and edit it. So what I'm going to do to edit this is I'm going to select this area, and I'm just going to change the color of this part of the star. And I'm going to make it a lighter gray. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to my scene and notice that it starts here and it ends there. That's one complete rotation. Alright, so now let's go to properties. And in order to get those options back for rotation, I have to select again on my motion tween, which is right here. Notice they pop back up. I want you to see something. If I do 2 times, let's look at this frame by frame. Notice it's not going to be exactly perfect. It's trying to show you basically, again, getting from point A to point B in the fastest, most shortest route as possible. So let's go ahead and go to the next amount of times. Let's do 3. No, let's double it. Let's go to 4. And let's look at this. All right, see how fast that went. So let's go to 8. Let's see how this looks. 8. Seems like 8 is kind of moving slower, or slower than 4. But why is that? Same reason I told you before. Let's look at 3 this time. 3 looks much faster than 8. And press enter. And the reason that is because it's almost like it's skipping, or it's going by so fast you can't really see those frames because it's skipping across the it's skipping in movement. So what you want to do is test this out. Like, let's say if you wanted it to look as fast as possible, my best guess would say that 3 is probably going to get, you're probably going to get the fastest look with 3 rotations. That's 3. Let's look at 4 again. See, 4 looks even slower than 3, which is quite strange, but again, if you look at it frame by frame, what it's trying to do is get all the way around, or trying to rotate in the shortest distance. And sometimes that means that if it has to go around 4 or 5 times, that it's going to skip a lot of spots. But if you have it where the timing is a little bit better, like with 3 rotations, you'll be able to see it move a little bit faster. So let's look at that again. Yeah, that's probably going to be the fastest you're going to get. Alright, so if I wanted to make that look even faster, I'm going to show you filters. If I go to my filters panel, I can actually change this or add a filter. Let me show you how to do that again. So I'm going to select the symbol on my keyframe. Then filters will pop up. So now I'm going to select the plus sign, and I'm going to add a blur. And I'm just going to increase this blur. And let's say this was a movie clip that that looped and it never stopped. So I'm going to put my loop on so we can see how it's going to look. And I'm going to go to both keyframes, this keyframe as well that has no filter. And I'm going to add that filter again, blur, and I'm going to increase it. This one is going to be 15, and this one will be, let's make that 15 as well. And now when I press enter, this is what I have. Now if I want to make it look like it's getting a little bit faster, or it's changing speed a little bit because it is a loop, I could increase my second one, let's say 25. You might not see that. Let's go further. There we go. All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but I do want you to know that you can put a blur on your symbols. So mission accomplished. All right, so try this at home or in the classroom, wherever you are. All right, peace.